Hi friends, in the last session we discussed the difference between is a relationship versus has a relationship, right? So as part of in the last session we discussed that is a relationship versus has a relationship. So let me explain the last session one more time and the next I will explain for today topic. Okay, so just observe here for the last we discussed that is a versus has a relationship. Friends, if you are watching my channel for the first time, please subscribe to my channel so it will give more encouragement for next videos. Okay, so if we want to extend the existing functionality with some more extra functionality, okay, if we want to extend existing functionality with some more extra functionality, then we should go for easier relationship. Okay, if we don't want to extend and just we have to use existing functionality, then we should go for has a relationship. Okay, if we don't want to use extend if we don't want to extend and it just we have to use existing functionality, then we should go for has a relationship. Okay, so employee class extends a person class functionality, but employee class just uses car functionality but nothing but extending. Okay, but not extending. Okay, so this is what we discussed as part of in the last session with the diagram. Okay, now today we are going to discuss about the composition versus aggregation. Okay, composition versus aggregation, difference between the difference between composition the difference between composition versus aggregation. Okay, difference between composition versus aggregation. Okay, so observe here first of all, composition means without existing container object. So without existing container object, if there is no chance of existence of contained objects, then container and contained objects are said to be strongly associated. Okay, contained object, then container and contained objects are said to be strongly associated, and this strong association is nothing but a composition. Okay, this strong association is nothing but what? A composition. So if you observe the example for the composition, a university has several departments. Okay, a university has several departments. Without existence of university, okay, without existence of university, there is no chance of existence of a department objects. Okay, without existence of university objects, without existence of university, there is no chance of existence of department objects. Hence, university and the departments are strongly associated, and this association is known as a composition. Okay, this strongly associated is nothing but what? A strong association is known as a composition. Okay, with respect to that, observe one small diagram so that you will get the clarity. Okay, observe here. I'm taking one. Okay, I'm taking I'm taking one first university object. Okay, university object. Inside I'm taking what? Department objects. Okay, so okay, we can consider this one as okay, we can consider this one as what? Observe. So department object. So internal we can call it as a department object. Okay, object, department object, department object, contained object. Okay, contained object, department object or contained object. So this one we can call it as a university object, university object, university object, university object or container object. Okay, container object, university object or container object. Clear? Clear, right? So this is nothing but what? This is composition. Okay, this is nothing but what? Composition. So next observe the difference between, next observe what? Aggregation. Okay, without existence of container object, so without existence of container, if there is a chance of existence of contained object. Okay, without existence of contained object, there is a chance of existence contained object. Then this container and contained objects are said to be weakly associated. This weak association is known as a aggregation, right? So this weakly associated and this weak association is nothing but what? The aggregation. So for that example, department contains several professors. Without existence of department, okay, without existence of department, still may be a chance of existence professor. Okay, department and professor objects are weakly associated, which is nothing but aggregation. So which is nothing but what? The aggregation. Okay, so observe the example. Okay, observe example. Observe the example. So observe here with respect to this, we can. So observe here. So this one, and we can call this one as a professor object or contained objects. Okay, we can call it as what? So we can call it as what? We can call it as what? A professor object or contained professor. Okay, professor object. Okay, professor object. Okay, professor object or contained object. Okay, contained object. The contained object. Okay, next this one we can call it as a department object. Okay, department. Okay, department object. Okay, department object or container object. Container object. Container object. Department object or container object. Okay, department object or container object. Okay, let me write one more time. Department object. The department object or container object. Container object. Okay, if you observe here, professor object or contained object. This one we can call it as a department object or container object. Okay, container object, right? So this is the difference between composition versus aggregation. Okay, difference between composition versus aggregation. So observe here one small example. Inside class, I have taken static variable and one constructor. Static variable and a constructor. Static variable and a constructor. So I'm accessing the static variable by using class name. Okay, next I'm creating the object for class, and I'm accessing that name by using, okay, accessing the name by using object reference. So if you observe here in the example, existence of existing student object, there is no chance of existing his name. Okay, in the above example, without existing student object, without existing there is a chance of existing his name. Hence, student object and his name are strongly associated, and which is nothing but what? The composition. Okay, hence the student object and his name are strongly associated, which is nothing but a composition, right? But without existing student object, there may be a chance of existing his college name. Okay, without existing student object, there may be a chance of existing his college name. Hence, student object and college name are weakly associated, which is nothing but what? Aggregation. Just the small example describing this theory. Okay, describing this theory, right? Getting my point? So if you are having any questions or queries, please post your query in the comment section or reach out to my email ID in the given description. Okay. So we can say conclusion means the relation between object and instance variable. The relation between object and instance variable is always composition, whereas relation between object and static variable is always called as aggregation, right? The relation between object and its instance variable is always composition, and whereas relation between object and static variable is called aggregation. Clear, right? So this is nothing but what? A conclusion. Okay, this is nothing but what? A conclusion. Observe one small next one. Okay, so whenever we are creating child class object, okay, whenever we are creating child class object, okay, whenever we are creating child class object, then child class the child class constructor will be child class constructor will be executed. The child class constructor will be executed. Observe carefully, whenever we are creating child class object, then child class constructor will be executed if the okay if the child class okay if the child class does not contain constructor. Okay, if the child class does not contains constructor, if the child class does not contain constructor, then parent class constructor the parent class constructor will be executed. Okay, parent class constructor will be executed, but the parent object won't be created. Okay, but parent object won't be created. The parent object won't be created. The parent object won't be created. Clear? So observe one small example. Observe one small program. Okay, class P. Okay, class P, parent class I'm taking. Next, along with that, I'm taking child class constructor. The child class constructor. Okay, parent class and parent class constructor. Here I'm printing parent class constructor ID. Okay, parent class constructor ID. Okay, ID of ID of self. ID of self. Next, I'm creating the same. Okay, I'm creating class child class. Okay, I'm writing one child class extending parent. I'm not taking any child class. Okay, I'm not taking anything in the child class. Just I'm passing. Now I'm creating child class object. Okay, now I'm creating child class object. I'm printing that child class object reference. Okay, id of id of C. Observe carefully. Okay, observe carefully. Parent class constructor 880752, here also 880752. Okay, that means whenever creating child class object, then child class constructor will be executed. If the child class does not contain constructor, parent class constructor will be executed. Okay, parent class constructor will be executed, but parent object won't be created. Okay, parent class constructor won't be created. Clear? So this is nothing but what the scenario. Whenever creating child class object, child class constructor will be executed along with the parent class. So if it is not contain parent class child class constructor, parent class constructor will be executed, but parent object won't be created. Okay, parent object won't be created. Clear, right? So in the same way just observe one small program. Okay, parent class constructor. Okay, parent class constructor, I'm taking self name comma age. I'm taking next. Let me copy the code to the notepad. So next example. Okay, next example. Next example. Okay. So observe here, parent class I'm taking self comma name comma age. Name comma age. So name comma age. So I'm initializing self dot name is equal to name comma self dot age is equal to age. Right? So now observe here, def underscore init underscore. Okay, child class also I'm taking one constructor. It is having self comma age name comma age comma roll number comma marks. Okay, roll number comma marks. So here I am calling superclass members. Okay, superclass members by using super. Parent class members by using super keyword. Underscore init underscore of name comma age. Okay, name comma age. So here I'm declaring self dot roll number is equal to roll number. Okay, same way self dot marks is equal to marks. Clear, right? So now I'm displaying those information by using a underscore string. Whenever you're trying to print the object, so that time this internally this method will call. Observe here, underscore string underscore self. Okay, now here what it will print, return. Okay, return name is equal to, this time printing everything. Okay, age is equal to slash n. Next what, roll number next marks. Clear? Marks is equal to this, nothing but what, formatting string. So we are printing just by using what, formatting string. Self dot name comma self dot age comma self dot roll number comma self dot marks. Clear? Self dot marks. So now just observe here, s1 is equal to, I'm creating student class object, s1 is equal to student, s1 is equal to student Sai Kumar. I'm creating a parameter name. So role number, so name age 30. Next roll number means 50, 55, comma marks means some 95. Okay. So up to here, if I call this just the parent class and child class constructor, initialization performance will be done, and it won't print anything. Okay. If when you are trying to print s1, okay, whenever you are trying to print s1 object, internal it will call underscore underscore string method. Okay. So first let me comment this one. Observe the behavior. Observe the behavior. Student object is not defined. The student object is not defined. The student object is what? Not defined. Okay, let me take parent class constructor id only, it is printing because just here I'm printing only parent class. Now observe here, whenever I am opening this comment, okay, now we will get this one. Okay, now we will get this one. Parent class constructor, name, age, roll number and the marks, everything it is printing. So we can say that by using this, whenever 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 child class object is created, so child class construct, whenever we are creating child class object, child class constructor will be executed. But if child class does not contain constructor, parent class constructor will be executed, but parent object won't be created. Okay, but the parent class object won't be created. So this is nothing but what with the second example. Okay, this is nothing but what a second example, right? Clear, right? Thank you, friends. Thanks for watching this video. If you are having any questions or queries, please post your query in the comment section or reach out to my email ID in the given description. Friends, please subscribe to my channel if you are watching my channel for the first time. Okay. Thank you, friends. Thanks for watching.